If you have ever felt disgusted by a partner you had, why was that? My cat died suddenly. Her first response was excitement, and thrilled that I could buy her a puppy then. When my family cat of 15 years died, he told me I shouldn't be crying. When his dog died, he sobbed like a baby for days. Idiot. I called in and took a day off work when my pet died. My boss actually used that later as an example in a meeting to discuss what is and is not a legitimate reason to call in. I was so pissed. But I didn't say anything. A year later his dog passed, and he took the day off. He didn't wipe his ass all the way and had major skid marks in his underwear, and one time he was wearing his pants plumber style, and I saw a huge streak of shit going down his crack, and when I told him about it he said he only uses 4 squares of TP because it's expensive. It's disturbingly common. I've dated many guys who were super hygienic, except one who was not. Didn't realize what was going on until I saw the brown streaks on his bath towel. Like, bro didn't wipe and he didn't scrub his ass properly. My parents used to complain about how much toilet paper I used, and I told them, it's better to use too much than not enough. And that shut down that complaint instantly. It might even be my most decisive win in an argument I'll ever have in my life. He had terrible gun safety skills to the point that he would point his pistol at family and friends and go, pew pew pew, as if it were a joke. Left him as soon as he pointed it at me. His family was shocked I had left him over something so simple. I knew a girl who married some ex-Marine who basically got kicked out for being insane. He always posted pictures of loaded weapons that he kept around his house. He blew his wife's leg off. If the Marines think you're too crazy, you need to be locked up for life. Jeez. I was just gonna say he's farting like a AK-47 in bed, but after reading some of these comments, never mind, lol. Yes, her mom, accidentally, bought too much and wanted to drop off some groceries just in case she needed anything. This woman came to her house with easily $200 to $300 worth of food, toiletries, drinks, soaps. Hell, there was even 2 bags of name brand beef jerky in there. It was obvious to me her mom didn't accidentally buy all this stuff. She did it because she loved her daughter and wanted to make sure she was taken care of and had nice things. My ex then proceeded to yell and very rudely thanked her mom before making snide remarks about how she didn't like this brand or flavor. Jordan, if you're reading this, you're an ugly, selfish person and your mom deserves better. I'm only sorry I didn't say something and interject. As someone who dated an alcoholic for 4 years, I'm sure there are lots of people who have felt similar levels of disgust. The notable ones being one time he drove home blackout drunk, parked in our neighbor's lawn and passed out on our porch, only for me to find him in the morning while I was heading to work. Another time he blacked out and left our front door wide open and our dog got out. 2 other times he blacked out and peed the bed, which was pretty much the end of it for me. And after seeing what alcohol can do to someone, I can hardly drink at all anymore, which is probably for the best. Yup, dated an alcoholic and it finally ended when he passed out on the floor, peed and puked all over our rugs, and then I had to clean it up because it was his birthday. About 10 years and 2 children into our relationship, he actually said out loud, I didn't really consider women people until I watched you give birth. We only dated very briefly and stayed very close friends afterwards, until his girlfriend after me called me up and told me what she found on his computer. He filmed almost every sexual encounter non-consensually and posted them online. He filmed women through their bathroom windows. He filmed women he was following around stores. When she reported him to the police, they already knew his name. I have younger sisters who liked him a lot. Telling them was the hardest part. Their first real experience with a trusted adult male being a terrible person. We all know there's a strong possibility he filmed my sister in the bathroom while she was a minor. There's an extremely strong possibility he posted me online, but I'll probably never know for sure. In positive news, after almost 2 years of investigation, he was arrested 2 weeks ago. Christmas came early. I was dancing around my kitchen when I found out. Some of these are very serious. I'll add some levity. I once watched my middle school boyfriend eat a Chef Boyardee ravioli out of his bare hand and was so nauseated by the sight that I, an immature 7th grader, proceeded to tank the relationship by fully ignoring him for 2 weeks until he broke up with me. I just couldn't look at him without remembering the sight of a ravioli sliding around in his palm. God, it still makes me sick actually. Long story short, we dated for months, always my place. Ended up at hers once and broke up. She wasn't clean, etc., but she had cats and one of them wasn't litter box trained. She had taught it to use the garbage disposal, one side of the sink with blades for our non-US readers. She taught the cat to shit in the fucking sink, and I decided this was not a long-term solution to my loneliness. The worst part is that took dedication and effort, and she could have just as easily trained it to use the actual toilet. Or a litter box. He wouldn't get a job, wouldn't help around the house, wouldn't leave the house. We were drowning in debt, and I was barely making sure we at least had a roof over our heads. No matter how much I begged, screamed, cried, he just would nod his head, tell me he understood and would help, and then nothing would change. He sat there for 14+ hours a day playing video games on my computer. He would wear the same sweatpants for weeks on end. He would belittle and insult me every chance he got. Why didn't I kick him out? Because I'm too nice and he was ex-military and I'm a small petite woman. How did he eventually get out of my life? We got drunk on 9/11 and had an argument. It's hazy, but he took my phone from me, and when I tried to get it back he shoved me down my stairs, put his hands around my neck, screamed in my face. I got outside and he pushed me down again, and this time held me down, and was trying to calm me down because now the neighbors would be able to see. But it was midnight, got him off me and ran down the street. My friends found me sobbing on the sidewalk a block away from my house. A few hours later I had an order of protection, and he was being arrested and removed from the house. I haven't seen him since. Wanted to add that no, he wasn't always this way. He started out very sweet and loving, saying all the right things. Love bombing sucks. And he was just a normal low-level soldier who never saw combat and did shit work around the base. He was kicked out because he smoked weed and was tested. He was obsessed with kids. He told me his dream was to buy a house so he could throw birthday parties for kids with autism he didn't know in his basement. When I told him most parents wouldn't be okay with having their kid in some random guy's basement, he was truly shocked. He had pictures of his boss's kids on his phone too. This is setting off some internal alarms. The worst part was, I mistakenly showed him a childhood picture of me while we were dating, and he saved that on his phone too, and he told me he looks at it when he is sad. Like not one of me now, but when I was a kid. He lived exclusively off of sour cream and onion-flavored chips and orange soda, and never brushed his teeth. After a year and a half of dating, he reveals that he believes women posting sexily posed pictures of themselves online have no right to be upset if strangers come up and touch assault them. I was baffled. This man had asked me if he could kiss me the first time he kissed me. He had always been incredibly respectful to me. So I asked if I posted a posed bikini picture on Instagram and some random man saw it, then groped me in front of him, if he'd think that was okay. And he said yes. In hindsight, I realize he must only have respected me because I behaved in a way that he deemed worthy of respect. It horrified me to know he believed he'd be justified in assaulting other women if they behaved differently. I also found him saving sexily posed pictures of women we both knew as acquaintances on his phone. I'm not one for policing what people look at, in general, and I wouldn't have cared if he was saving random Norp or Instagram model photos or whatever. But our coworker? Like someone you actually talk to in person? You're going to save her photos off her Facebook? That's fucking creepy to me. That last part is extra disturbing since he knows these women and thinks that they're posting any sort of picture with skin is an invitation for harassment and assault. He invited a prostitute over and asked that I watch them have sex to prove that I actually loved him. I wonder what the twisted logic behind this is. Control. It's always control. He decided he didn't need to wear deodorant in the American South in the summer because he sweated out all his toxins and didn't smell bad anymore. Friends, he smelled like a cat piss, salami, and raw onion sandwich that someone had left in the hot sun in a car over the long weekend, and then rubbed their testicles on. It was really quite a remarkable and complex bouquet of odors. I tried to politely and lovingly let him know that he was mistaken, but he did not believe me. We broke up shortly after. When discussing divorce, my so wistfully said, "I'm still young, I could," implied sex around with other women. This disgusted me because I had basically begged him for sex for 4 years before I gave up on that, and tried to get him to hold my hand or even just sit by me on the couch. Apparently the marriage was over for him the second our kids were born, and I just didn't find out about it until later. Although it still disgusts me, I think a bit of that is healthy now. I needed a few disgusting moments to be able to realize I was the only one who cared, and you can't repair a boat when the other person in it keeps pulling out their chainsaw and going to town. When we were laying in bed and I went to kiss him, he pushed me away and said, "Jesus Christ, I can't do anything until I take a shower. You always want to start this at inconvenient times." And he jumped up to shower, came back and goes, "All right, let's get this over with." I said no, thank you, and he started whining about how he just took the time to shower for me. I left him after that. Let's get this over with, ha 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 ha. And they say romance is dead. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.